Bahamas during this time, so right now he's a backsliding Christian. No, I'm joking. He's getting ready to preach the service. But just want to kind of encourage you, while you're on here, share that link. Make sure.
I'm actually right here.
He's right here. He's right here. He's actually right here. All the way back from Corona, Bahamas. Glad you made it. Just make sure you like and share what's going on with the service here. We had a lot of new people. We got some gifts to give out. We got Noah right here. He's going to put some gold twisting thing going on right here, playing bingo at church. And we're going to have a good time today. So glad you're here. Let's go ahead and sing Victory in Jesus. Victory in Jesus. I heard an old story. Seth right here with a broken leg. He's going to come over here. He's going to help us while he's hopping around. I heard an old story. How a Savior came from glory. Won't we sing it? I'm going to sit
just
down
want to
right
let you
here
know
for
how much we miss
Let's
being
go ahead and
around
sing.
church.
I heard an old
And
story.
at
How a
school
Savior
and
came from
ministries
glory. Here we go.
involved in,
I
before
heard
the
an
time we
old
called it
story.
During this
How
time,
a
I encourage
Savior
you to stay faithful to your
came
life
from
services.
glory.
Your walk
How
with
he
God,
gave
your
his
Bible
life
reading,
on
sermons that we
Calvary
sent you each week,
to
memorizing
save
verses,
a
as
wretch
well as
like
your
me.
thesis learning at home,
I heard
and
about
helping out
his
your siblings.
groaning, of his precious blood atoning. And then I repented of my sins and won a victory.
On that chorus.
Oh, victory in Jesus, my Savior forever. He sought me and bought me with his redeeming blood. He loved me ere I knew him, and all my love is to him. He plunged me to victory beneath the cleansing flood.
I heard about his healing. Here we go. I heard about his healing.
Of his cleansing power revealing, how he made the lame to walk again, how he made the to see.
Amen.
And then I cried, dear Jesus, come and heal my broken spirit. And somehow Jesus came and brought to me the victory.
On that chorus.
Oh, victory in Jesus, my Savior forever. He sought me and he bought me with his redeeming blood.
Praise God.
He loved me ere I knew him, and all my love is to him. He plunged me to victory beneath the cleansing flood.
I heard about a mansion. I heard about
a mansion he has built for me in glory. And I heard about the streets of gold beyond the crystal sea, about the angels singing and the old redemption story. And some sweet day I'll sing up there the song of victory.
On the chorus.
Oh, victory in Jesus, my Savior forever. He sought me and he bought me with his redeeming blood. He loved me ere I knew him, and all my love is to him. He plunged me to victory beneath the cleansing flood.
Great singing over there at home.
Thank you all for being with us today. I got actually a lot of good text messages this week about our teens doing our challenges. I actually called up Nick Peggs earlier, and I said, hey, Nick, I wanted to encourage you to do your challenge. And he said, oh, Brother Dan, I already helped my mom do an hour of yard work. And I know a lot of our leaders have been texting in, hey, I got these different teens who've done all of our challenges. Great job with that. Keep it up. Here are a couple people who did our verses. We got Gary, Adon, Carson, Junior, Monirot, Kanchana, Ashley, Kelly with the Y, Kelly with an I, Anna, Abigail, Bradley, Seth, and Kristen. Then we have, for our sermons for this week, we have Ivan, Gary, Adon, Carson, Marlon, Anna, Kristen, Ashley, Kanchana, Kelly, Sephora, the other Kelly as well, Abigail, Bradley, Madison, Savannah, Valerie, Nick, Seth, Monirot, Geraldine, and Daniel Bowen. And then lastly for our challenge, we have Gary, Adon, Carson, Junior, Ivan, Anna, Kristen, Ashley, Sephora, Conchana, Abigail, Bradley, Valerie, Priscilla, Savannah, Nick, Seth, and Johnny. And it's also been a blessing to have some of our teens who go to our church in our Spanish department be able to join our walk with God and the different challenges and sermons. So that's been a blessing to have them here with us. Our sermons for this week are Just the Bowl of Chili by Bob Gray, and then God Will Make a Way by Jeff Fugit. Two really good sermons there. And also our verse for this week is Philippians chapter 1, verses 1 through 4. So we're doing those accumulative. This week we did 1 and 2. This week we're going to do 1 through 4. And then lastly, our challenge for this week actually is 2 parts. So one, either you or your family comment on one of our main services for this week. So on the YouTube there, you could, hey, we got the Rawl family tuning in, or hey, this is so-and-so tuning in. And then also take notes for the Sunday evening service and the Thursday evening service. So those will be our challenges for this week. And switching over to our game time now, we got several gift cards we're going to be giving out. So we've got a Taco Bell card. I'm not a huge fan, but some of you guys are. I know a lot of you know what I think about Taco Bell. We got a Taco Bell card. We got a BOGO card for Jamba Juice. Thanks a latte coffee bean card there. And lastly, one of my favorites, In-N-Out. If you've ever been on the Sloaning bus, you know I like that. So our first one here, and we'll do the third text in on this one. And please put your name. We're not going to do the call-in this week to kind of streamline and give our speaker a little bit more time, but the third text in for this one, before Mount Everest was discovered, what was the highest peak in the world? Again, one more time, before Everest was discovered, at that time, what was the highest mountain peak in the world? I can see all of our screens collecting fingerprints as we text those in. And we have, Lydia Hernandez. I was going to be getting our Taco Bell card, so I hope you're a big Taco Bell fan. Like, I'm not exactly. But next one here, we're going to give out our coffee card. Actually, no, we'll do our Jamba Juice BOGO card. These are pretty cool if you like Jamba Juice. And I'll send you $5 along with it so you get your first one on me. Next, what is heavier, a pound of feathers or a pound of rocks? And we're going to do our fourth text in on this one. So for this one, for our Jamba Juice BOGO card and $5, so technically you get 2 drinks with this one. And we got Michaela and Natalie Sin, 2-time winners here on this one. And at this time, we're going to have one of our Sunday school teachers give us a greeting.
Hi teens, just wanted to let you know how much we miss seeing you around here at church and at school and different ministries that you're involved in. And we look forward to the time when we can all be together at church again. During this time, I encourage you to stay faithful to the live stream services, to your walk with God, to your Bible reading, listening to the sermons that are sent to you each week, memorizing the verses, as well as your distance learning at home and helping out your parents and your siblings. And this lockdown might seem a little bit boring to a lot of us, but I believe that the Bible is true when it says that God works all things together for our good. Life is like a huge treasure hunt, and He has a gifts prepared for us in every circumstance, no matter how horrible it might seem, no matter how empty of good it might seem. And if we trust in God and ask Him to reveal to us the purpose He has in this coronavirus lockdown, I believe that He will show us amazing things that He wants us to learn through this time, and we'll be able to come out the other side of this better Christians, better siblings, better children, and we'll be ready to go into the perfect will of God that He has for us and the vision He has for our church in 2020 at the end of this coronavirus thing. So hang in there, stay faithful, and God bless you.
All right, and at this time, we got a short clip about the perfect teen group.
Hi, excuse me, can we sit room for Jesus, please? Like, lots of room? April, why don't you come sit over here with the guys? You know, it's the guys' side, the girls' side. Why don't you come sit over here?
Nah, fam, that's good. That's good. We're good over here.
Come on, bro. You know, we got the girls' side over here. Bro, the girls' side's right here. We got the guys' side. We got plenty of room over here for you. When you come sit over here. Look, I see you over here cultivating relationships.
Whoa, what's this matter?
Here at Pacific, we don't do that. I don't know where you're from, left coast or not, but come here. Sit over here, sir.
Nah, bro, I ain't leaving.
Come on, bro. I'm gonna have to ask you to come sit over here on the other side.
Do something about it.
Oh, you want us to? Oh,
Yeah,
we
let's
can't.
go.
I want to. All right, let's go, bro.
Come on. Oh, no!
Hey, you there?
Who, me?
Yeah, that's you. You look like a good, godly Christian man.
I guess that describes me.
Yeah. Let me ask you this then. Do you ever feel like your youth group is holding you back and making fun of you for being a good, godly Christian male?
What is he think he's doing? We're in the 21st century. Why is he reading his Bible? Oh my goodness. Yeah. I guess so.
You ever feel like your youth group's interests don't fall in line with what God wants you to do with your life?
Guys, look, I stole my mom's credit card. Now I can buy all the V-Bucks that I want.
No, thank you. I'm gonna stay home and read my Bible like a godly Christian. Boy.
Or maybe you feel like your youth group is filled with a bunch of heathens and rebels who can't listen to anything.
Alright, class, we're gonna get started. So remember when we were pray? Yeah. Girls. Excuse me, I'm talking about this stuff over me. Hello. I guess you're right, random guy I've never seen before. What can I do?
Well, lucky for you, my child, I've got something just for you. Drum roll, please. Can I get a drum roll from the audience? Thank you very much. Introducing the most godly man I have ever met in my life. The epitome of Christian character. A man I want my kids to be like when they grow up. A man whose mere presence floods the room with holiness. Your new youth pastor, Richard Bailey. As he cleanses the youth
Whoa. Did you guys read your Bible today? Oh my goodness. Yeah! We love serving the Lord.
This group of young fellows. Watch as he cleanses them.
I love Jesus.
And of course, the rebellious heathens, as he cleanses them.
I think seeds and we'll get started in prayer requests and blessings. It's a blessing. Yes, of course. It's a blessing to be here. Wow. Wow, he really is the best youth pastor.
Yes, indeed, my child. And you can have him in your youth group for the low price of $5,000 an hour. And I know what you're thinking. That's a very, very good offer. But there's more. I can throw in his wife. Where is he? His wife for $3,000.
Now that's when revival happens in a youth group there. Now at this time we got a couple of our teens going to do a special for us.
She thought he was a gardener when she met him on the road. She had gone to see the tomb where Jesus lay.
right, thanks for being with us tonight, this evening, whatever you want to call it. 1 Samuel chapter 16, that's where we are tonight. So 1 Samuel chapter number 16. Now I hope, while you're turning there, I hope you are finding creative ways to stay productive and sane. I know time of self-isolation or whatever you want to call it, quarantine, can make you do some weird things. I'm not going to ask you. I asked the Bible class a couple weeks ago, what's the weirdest thing that you did? And we had some pretty weird answers. But there's a video making rounds that my uncle Trent over there in Orange County, he put out. And so he was just looking over his fence, and literally his next-door neighbor came out. Dan, did you see this one? His next-door neighbor came out with a full T-Rex suit on with the little arms and the whole 9 yards. And he was literally his neighbor was just walking up and down the street with a T-Rex suit on, looking hilarious, and he was dying. I was at Chopper Tea. By the way, Good Baptist, go to Chopper Tea, have a good boba. I just had one right here. Got one from my brother Ben. He just got off of a 2-week quarantine time. And so we enjoyed that. But I was there a couple weeks ago, and I see this really tall figure coming out in my rear view mirror. I kind of did a double take, and I look, and it's like the figure had to be like 7 foot tall. And I look, and it's a guy with his mask was a full giraffe head, like a giraffe suit head thing, and it went all the way up there. Except for, I posted on Instagram if you check it out. But the thing is, like, he didn't really have a mask. It was just like a screen net, so it kind of defeated the whole purpose. Everybody's looking at him all weird. Today, after 2 weeks, now my brothers were in true quarantine, so they were exposed to somebody. We'll just put it that way. And so 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks, they stayed in a room, and they were just there in the room, kind of by themselves. And I looked after lunch today. I said, "Where are you guys going?" And they had backpacks on. I saw fishing poles stuck out of their backpack. I said, "Where are you guys going?" Like, "We're going to go fishing." One of the many lakes, kind of like Minnesota, all the lakes we have in the surrounding area, they're going to go hit one of the areas and go fishing. But allegedly, I saw the picture. There's an alligator gar, is that what they call it? A gar somewhere in this area, and they're going to try to bring in the big one. But I guess quarantine will make you want to get out and do something. I was talking to my wife. I know probably teenagers and single young college students have the worst time with this. I mean, we've got families, we still have things we got to do, but you all have all this energy, right? You want to go do something with it. I get it. And I don't anticipate this time being too much longer. In fact, quite a few churches planning on opening up sometime soon. I hope that we can be one of them, God willing. But today I want to look at a teenager in isolation in the Bible, and that's what we're going to talk about just for a few moments today. I think I have about 8 minutes, 9 minutes, something like that. And so let's look at that. The first few times we are introduced to this young man, he's in isolation. When his family is gathered together in one place, he's by himself. When the men are gathered together in one place, he's by himself. When the king and others were gathered in one place, he's by himself. But it wasn't a bad thing. God used it for good. So 1 Samuel chapter number 16. Of course, you probably know where we're going. This young man, he's alone, no friends, not at school, spending a lot of time away. And this young man was David as a teenager. And so let's look here. 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 11. The first 3 times we're introduced to him. You don't know anything about him. You're introduced to him, and he's away. He's by himself. He's alone. He's not with his friends. He's not at school. And he made the best use of this time. So we want to talk about here today. So 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 11, it says, "And Samuel said unto Jesse." So the preacher came to David's dad and said, "Hey, gather everybody together." And his dad says, "All right, everybody's gathered together." Forgot one. Left him kind of hanging out there by himself. "Are here all thy children?" And he said, "There remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep." And Samuel said unto Jesse, "Send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come hither." What's the point? He said, we've got everybody here. They forgot about him. They left him out there by the sheep before he was anointed. Of course, 1 Samuel chapter 16, 17, and 19. Saul said unto his servants, "Provide me now a man that can play well. Bring him to me." Then answered one of the servants and said, "Behold, I have seen a son of Jesse the Bethlehemite, that is cunning in playing." He had skills, that means. "A mighty man, a valiant man." He was strong, ready to go. "And a man of war." He knew how to fight. "Prudent in matters." He had some prudence. "A comely person." Nice, just a good guy you want to be around. "And the Lord's with him." He had God's favor. "Wherefore," here it is, "Saul sent messengers unto Jesse and said," people knew this, "Send me thy son David," or David thy son, "which is with the sheep." Next, 1 Samuel 17, 13 through 17. The 3 eldest sons of Jesse went. Now they're going to battle. The names of his 3 sons were Eliab, Abinadab, Shammah. And David was the youngest, and the 3 eldest followed Saul. But David went, returned from Saul, even after he got promoted to be with the king from time to time. He returned to feed his father's sheep. The Philistines drew near. Long story short, you see at the end there, and Jesse said unto David his son, Now take for thy brethren an ephah of parched corn, these 10 loaves, and run to the camp to thy brethren. What's the point here? The first 3 times in the Bible that we are introduced to David, who later became King David, wrote many psalms, and was used greatly of God. The first 3 times that we are introduced to him, where is he? All by himself, alone, away from his friends, if you want to say in isolation. Now, God, and if you look here, God pulled him from that time to anoint him to be king. God pulled him from that time to elevate him and put him in the palace. God pulled him from that time and took him and he went and fought Goliath. Each of the 3 major beginning things in David's life where he was used greatly from God, he went from a time alone to being used greatly of God. Then he went to a time alone and he was used greatly of God. What's the point? The point here is this. God wants to use you too. And as a teenager, God can use you. God has something special. God has something big for your life. And so a little time alone, by the way, Brother Dan, I'm over it. I am so over this. Those of us running our computer over here, I'll look around. Look, college graduation was supposed to be like 3 days ago. And I'm trying to figure out, when are our graduates going to get to walk? When? I'm done. I'm over it. I don't think it's going to be too much longer. But I can say this. This time alone, time like this, isn't necessarily a bad thing if we use it for good. And so let's just look real quick, about 4 minutes I have here. 3 things that David did during his time of isolation or his time alone that allowed God to use him. And number one, David used this time to get close to God. You see, how do we know that? Well, in 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 7, we know that God picked David when he pulled him out from the sheep, and Samuel was there and the family was there. And the preacher said, oh, for sure, this guy, he's probably stronger, kind of buff like Brother Dan, taller, bigger. He's the oldest one. Of course, God's going to use him. And God says, no, I rejected him. I refused him. Why? He said, because I'm looking at the hearts of these young men. And if we look for Samuel chapter, I think it's 17, and also in the book of Acts, we see that God said, I picked a man after my own heart. Who was that? David. Why? Because when David was out, he learned to get close to God. In 1 Samuel 16, 18, for time we won't look there, but even the servants of Saul, they knew. They said, Saul, you want a good guy? Pick David because God is with him. I have a question. What have you done? You've had more time. No doubt you've had more time. No practice, no getting ready for school. A lot of things that you normally would do that you're not doing. I hope that you've used this time to get close to God. And I know a lot of you have. I hear Brother Dan each week, he'll come home and he'll say, hey, the teens, they're reading their Bibles and they're listening to the sermons. Keep it up. Get close to God during this time. Number two, David developed a skill that was useful in God's service. 1 Samuel 16, 18, then one of the servants answered and said, behold, I have seen the son of Jesse, a Bethlehemite, that is cunning. That means skilled. He's got some skills in playing, a mighty man, a valiant man, a man of war, prudent in manners, a comely man, and the Lord is with him. David was only approximately, maybe 16, 17 years old, but according to the servants, these are like the top guys, the top dogs, if you would. They knew that this teenager had some skills. He had some skills as far as war was concerned. He had some skills as far as playing the harp was concerned. Now, walking with God, that was a requirement. Keeping the sheep, that was a requirement. But learning the harp, that's something that David said, I want to do this to grow in my value for God's service. Learning how to sling that sling and be able to hit a bullseye right there. That was David saying, I want to be valuable in God's service. By the way, I want to encourage you. Learn some type of skill. Ladies, I've heard, I think Anna and Kelly. Y'all made this pastrami, Angus, oh my soul. Heart attack on a plate is what I call it, but it sure looked good. I want to reach into Instagram and just take it out and eat it. Ladies, maybe it's cooking for the family. Men, maybe it's an instrument. Maybe you learn to sit down and write out a sermon so you can preach or teach a Sunday school class, and I got to move. He developed a skill that made him more valuable in the Lord's service. And finally, David learned to serve. We know that the greatest, Jesus told us in the New Testament, the greatest is the servant. Each time we see David alone, he's serving. He was serving his father in the field. He was serving Saul by playing for Saul. He was serving his brothers by taking them and their captain's food. And I want to encourage you. During this time, who can I serve? How can I serve my family? By the way, I hope you served your mom by being a blessing to her today. How can I serve my siblings? How can I serve at home? How can I serve others? By the way, those of you that work in the children's ministry, thank you so much for writing notes and calling your people. That's serving. And so I hope that you'll take these 3 things during this time and get ready for God to use you when we get out of it. God bless you. Brother Dan?
All right, at this time, we're going to give out our final 2 gift cards. In-N-Out, because that's what a hamburger is all about. And again, my favorite, also some coffee here. So we'll mix these up a little bit. And we have, this will be for the coffee card. We got Abigail Esposito coming from downtown Long Beach. We'll get that to you, Abigail. And this one's going to be for our In-N-Out one. Let's see what I got here. And this one we got Mr. Nick Peggs, and I know Nick Peggs more than anybody else. I know he loves to eat some cheeseburgers. Don't forget, tune in tonight to our service. Don't forget to comment on the little comment section there, and also take some notes. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you again here next week.